Hi, I'm Rosie Snow, the Director of Christian Discipleship at Wesley Memorial United Methodist Church. I want to talk today about a very specific kind of grief that I think a lot of people are feeling right now. And that is the specific grief of realizing people you've known throughout your life, family members, friends, neighbors, really do not share the same values as you. It has been a revealing time, and a lot of what has been revealed is very heartbreaking. A lot of us had assumed that there was some core set of values that we all shared, a regard for truth and human rights, certain unifying values, and now realize that not only is that not the case, but many of our friends, neighbors, community members are actively advancing the opposite of those values in our world. It's a painful realization, but ultimately it's best for things that have been hidden to come out into the open. What isn't helpful that I've observed is that a lot of people are fixating and getting stuck in trying to change other people's hearts and other people's minds. You can try, but if it's not working, there's this hope that this or that event is finally going to change this person's mind, that you can finally convince them. There may be a feeling that it's your job to change someone. And although I think there are people who really have a calling and skill set to pierce through ideological barriers and reach out to people, I'm here to say that this is not your job. Jesus says to love your enemy. To me, that means you still offer help if someone needs help. If someone's going through a tough time, you comfort them, even when you're in opposition to them in some way. But that doesn't mean it's your job to change them. It is God who has extended grace to us all. God has made available the experience of total love, of unconditional love, of the abandonment of ill will and harm. God has made that experience available to us all, and it's up to us as individuals to either accept that or not, in part or to an extent or in full. Everyone is on their own journey. Maybe someone needs to get lost in toxic conspiracy theory land for a while for some reason. It certainly seems to be something we're going through collectively, and there are reasons for that, just as there will be reasons why we finally move past that. You have no control over someone else's story or journey. You can influence it, but you're not going to influence it by trying to change or control it. You influence it by leaving the door open for God's grace to work and move through you at times. There comes a point when the divide in values, the divide of enmity, has become too deep to cross without God's grace. Sometimes the relationship or the web of relationships needs to break, and it's simply appropriate to that time or that moment in history. It's okay. Love in that moment is leaving the door open for God's grace. Leaving it open for that moment when someone unexpectedly reaches out with needed help or with a kind word. That may be all you can do. But in the end, that may mean more than anything else. But don't fixate or get stuck thinking, how can they feel that way? How can they not see that this is so wrong? You will lock yourself up that way. Because you know what? You get so fixated on this, you don't give yourself the space to look at the goodness that is inside of you. The fact that you do feel empathy, the fact that you yearn for unconditional love in this world, that you yearn for truth, for human rights, that's a good thing, and it's not necessarily a given. You could not be that way. And you end up cutting yourself off from seeing that there are many, many people in this space with you. What is your job is not changing other people, but working with people who share your values to build the world that you yearn for, to hold each other accountable, because none of us is perfect. None of us is fully accepting that that gift from God of total love. And we need to keep ourselves accountable to move towards that vision. We have a long way to go. But imagine if this is where our energy went. Instead of fixating on other people's flaws, take the log out of your own eye before you make a fuss about the speck in someone else's. That abandonment of ill will starts with you and me. What if our media, our social media, and our own minds stopped obsessively trying to figure out people who aren't ready or may never be ready to change, and started instead amplifying and celebrating and bringing into being the values that we do share and hold together? I'm giving you permission to do that. I'm giving all of us permission to do that. It's time for us to celebrate our shared values, to bring them into being in this world, to finally let go of our fixation on other people's flaws. Amen.